The Lakers have been in the news, and to discuss the Lakers, Trevor Lane joins us, LakersNation.com host. You can find Trevor on Twitter at Trevor_Lane. Trevor also covers the rest of the NBA on the NBA Front Office Show, which you can find on YouTube. I encourage you, and wherever you get your podcasts, I encourage you to check it out. Of course, brought to you on the Progressive Guest Line. Thank you, Trevor, for joining us. So, it's been a weird time as somebody that covers the Lakers the last week or so. Let's start with Hurley. It makes sense. Maybe he was trying to gain some leverage and he's going to get a new deal with UConn. From the Lakers' perspective, help us understand the courtship of Danny Hurley.
You know, it really came from out of nowhere. All we were hearing was it's going to be J.J. Redick. They'll interview some other people, but J.J. Redick, that's the guy that's going to get the job. And then something shifted, and suddenly Dan Hurley was available, and the Lakers were in hot pursuit. That was middle towards end of last week, and then we were all on pins and needles, just waiting to see what was going to happen. Even hearing from people I spoke to within the Lakers organization, they were very hopeful that they were ultimately going to land Dan Hurley. They were going to find a way to get it done, but obviously did not come to fruition. They presented an offer, the reported offer, and what I've confirmed, 6 years, $70 million. Ultimately taking 6 years, $50 million to stay with UConn. So the Lakers gave their pitch, did what they could to try to sway Dan Hurley. Could they have offered more? Should they? Maybe. But the bottom line, he decided he wanted to stay with UConn, and now the Lakers are left trying to restart their coaching search. Okay,
Trevor, you can laugh at me for this, but I thought from Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka's perspective, I thought maybe this was a power grab. LeBron's 39. He's been running the organization. Hurley has some cachet. You bring him in. LeBron is yet to pick up that option. Do you think there's anything to the idea that they were trying to bring somebody in that could match LeBron and have some cachet?
No, I don't think it was about trying to match LeBron right now. I mean, LeBron has, at most, we're talking about 2 years left in the NBA. And if you look historically, as much as there's this notion that LeBron he runs the show, he's the puppet master, he's pulling the strings, the Lakers have done a number of things that have gone against what LeBron wanted to do. LeBron wanted them to keep Alex Caruso. They did not. He wanted them to bring Jared Dudley back. They did not. He wanted them to hire Ty Lue 5 years ago. They didn't do that. So LeBron, while he has plenty of pull in the organization, he isn't the final say on all of this stuff. I think the Dan Hurley potential hire was not so much about LeBron right now. It was about post LeBron. It was about once LeBron is gone, how are we going to build up a sustainable team after that? Because sooner rather than later, the Lakers are going to be living in a post LeBron world, and they've got to figure out what things are going to look like. I think Dan Hurley was a big piece to that puzzle from their perspective in terms of building out a program, bringing in somebody who can develop young players for them for the future.
Trevor, did we hear anything? He was very quiet. Did we hear anything about LeBron and his relationship with Hurley or thoughts on potentially playing for Hurley?
No, you know, at every opportunity, LeBron has stressed that he is not part of this coaching decision. He is not making this decision. This is not on him. However, is it realistic that the Lakers really went all the way down the path to presenting this big offer and didn't talk to LeBron at all about what he thought? No, like every superstar in the NBA has stuff like this run by them. So I feel pretty confident saying the Lakers must have at least run this by LeBron. But LeBron has also made it very, very clear he's hands off in this coaching hire. This is the Lakers' decision. In fact, Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, has gone as far as to say that he believes the Lakers should base this decision more around Anthony Davis than around LeBron James, seeing as he's the younger of the two players and is going to be around longer than LeBron will. So they have made a very conscious effort to try to keep LeBron out of this decision and make it clear that this is a Lakers choice and not a LeBron choice.
Trevor Lane, LakersNation.com. You can find Trevor on Twitter at Trevor_Lane, and he asked about who should be the next coach. He got a ton of replies. We'll get to that in a second. Before we talk about the potential next head coach of the Lakers, Trevor, what does this job entail over the next year, 2, 3 years? What is this Lakers job?
It's an extremely difficult one from what we've heard, from what the Lakers are trying to find. They're looking for somebody who can win right now with LeBron, with Anthony Davis. They want someone who can win 3-4 years from now, after LeBron, on a team built around Anthony Davis. They want someone who can develop players for the future. They also want someone who can command the respect of the locker room right now. And in some ways, you're kind of looking for somebody who could do everything, and that's not typical. Usually in the NBA, you find a coach who is specifically geared towards player development, and that's a coach that you bring in to try to build up a future for a rebuilding team. And then you also have coaches that are veterans that you're going for to try to win right now. The Lakers are asking for somebody to do all of that, in addition to being an absolute workhorse, being, from the terms they've used, a grinder, somebody who is going to outwork other coaches in the NBA. They want it all in this coaching hire, and that's going to be really difficult to find, but that's their list. That's what they're looking for.
So LeBron, AD, D'Lo, Reeves, do they have flexibility to make a run at a free agent? Like, where does that stand as far as the roster construct?
So we've got the new salary cap tiers that are really kicking in terms of the punishments that are in for spending too much. And that's going to be a big issue for the Lakers. They are already considered what would be a tier 1 team, which greatly restricts what they can do. They can't send out or they can't take in more salary than they send out in a trade, for example. They most likely will have very limited flexibility. Should D'Angelo Russell walk away in free agency, he does have a player option. LeBron James does as well. But let's say LeBron stays and D'Angelo Russell walks away. Maybe there's a world where that could open up the mid-level exception for them, which would be about $13 million to go spend. More likely, they would have about the $5 million taxpayer mid-level. But we're not looking at a team that's going to have any kind of significant cap space to go chase a serious free agent. Most of their work is going to have to be done on the trade market if they want to make real changes to this team.
That's a great answer. Okay, Trevor, who's the next head coach of the Lakers? We'll start there. I'll ask you that question, and then we'll get to your replies on Twitter, who some of the fans would like to see. But let's start with who you think potentially is the next head coach.
Sure. It's so wide open right now that Dan Hurley is a no. And something happened with JJ Redick, and I'm not 100% clear on exactly what went on, but there was some kind of a shift that caused them to turn towards Dan Hurley, and things got messy with the JJ situation. I don't know how JJ Redick feels about their pursuit of Dan Hurley, because clearly he would be the next guy, but there was something that went on here. And again, it's not clear exactly what. So did that completely torpedo the chances of JJ Redick? I don't know. I'm still going to ultimately lean towards him and say probably going to wind up being JJ. But from what we've heard, they've already had a couple of interviews with James Borrego, so he could potentially be in the mix, though he's in the mix for the Cavs job as well. They could go to an assistant like a David Adelman from Denver. They could also look towards the college ranks again. I think JJ's got to be the favorite at this point. But again, I don't know exactly what happened that caused them to turn towards Dan Hurley and so decisively away from JJ Redick, and if that's prohibitive of them circling back to him at this point.
At Trevor_Lane on Twitter, who do Lakers fans want to see as the next head coach of the Lakers?
Yeah, there's a lot of responses there. There's a lot of different names out there. Some people are saying Sam Cassell. Some people are saying Rajon Rondo, who former Laker. I'd love to see him as an assistant coach. I don't know about as a head coach or not. JJ Redick's name is certainly in there. A lot of David Adelman votes as well. A lot of people believing in him and what he's done with the Denver Nuggets, seeing the way that could really work with this Lakers team. A lot of people say, pie in the sky, saying Coach K, he's been an advisor with them. Mike Krzyzewski, if they can get him, that hey, maybe he'll just take the deal that Dan Hurley didn't want. But there's a lot of names out there, and that's really the problem for the Lakers now. There is no clear cut. This is the guy candidate. This is the home run that's out there. That was Dan Hurley. They swung, they missed. Now they're going to have to sort of pick up the pieces and sort through what's left and see if they can come up with the best candidate.
That would be wild. 20 years later, after they tried to land Coach K, if they hired him at this point, that would be wild. Trevor Lane, LakersNation.com, also covers the rest of the NBA, the NBA Front Office Show, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts, at Trevor_Lane on Twitter. That was awesome. We needed that, Trevor. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thank you very much for having me.